I decided to make my research project as a recommendation system of clothes. So Wearify is virtual fitting room in 3D. At that time in my community, the top level of programmers were in backend part doing C++, Java, and nobody was talking about AI and the functionality which it can bring.
Hello everyone and welcome to the EVN Disrupt podcast. Our guest this week is Karine Martirosyan, the founder and CEO of Wearify. She joins us to discuss her startup's vision for helping online consumers try on clothes virtually before buying them. Karine shared with us how Wearify builds 3D avatars of their users so that they can see how clothes look on them while shopping online, just as they would in a real store. We also spoke about the role that 3D avatars will take on in the coming years as digital environments become increasingly used for a variety of use cases. Lastly, Karine shared with us her thoughts on how to decentralize tech in Armenia and promote greater activity outside of Yerevan. Thank you for listening. Karine, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with a little bit of your background. Tell us where you grew up and how you got started in the world of tech.
Oh, I grew up in Vanadzor and I started tech career maybe from my school years. I was studying in Vanadzor's PhysMath school, so there were a lot of Olympiads in maths and physics, and we were coming here in this PhysMath school to different workshops and classes. And after that, I understand that I have some inclination to mathematics and the technical side, but also at the same time, I have some skills on drawing and designing, and it was really hard for me to choose the path of going to computer science and to leave the design part as a hobby. But yeah, I did that, and after that I started with university, studying in computer science and applied mathematics.
In Vanadzor, is there a Tumo there now even, or?
Yeah, we hope they will open.
Okay, so there wasn't one when you were growing up?
Yes. They were starting some Armat labs, and fortunately my mother was one of the first people who were trying to integrate these Armat labs in Armenia, and they opened in Vanadzor one lab, and I was wondering all these materials they had, and there were some scratch games, some turtle games, and I were starting to explore with her all this stuff with robotics. And then after that I understand that I really love this path and I will continue my career in this.
Another thing that's really interesting is a really common thread amongst the guests on our podcast so far has been that they're PhysMath graduates.
Yeah.
You're the first from Vanadzor's PhysMath, but I don't know what the percentage is, but maybe something like half of our grads are from
PhysMath school.
From PhysMath school, yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, we know each other a lot because we were all in the same Olympiads, and I have so much friends, and sometimes also when we develop something, we also consultate with each other a lot. So it's a good community to have around you. Yeah.
I need to call the principal one day for a podcast to understand what they're doing at PhysMath schools that create so many tech entrepreneurs in Armenia. And then, so then you went off to university to study computer science. Where did you study? I studied
in Lomonosov Moscow State University. It was branch in Armenia. They were opened first time here. And we have professors who were coming from Moscow, but also we have some programs so we can go there and study have some practices. But overall, I started to learn more mathematics because in Moscow State University, its base is mathematics, and after that you choose your path. You can go with different languages. So they teach you assembler and all the basic stuff, and after that you also understand in which direction you will go. So at that time I were studying computer science, but also as I'm very passionate on fashion, on designing, I were developing the skills on this path also. So I decided to make my research project as a recommendation system of clothes. And I remember that I was only girl graduating from our group. And I remember the faces of all our men guys who were doing super like fancy projects in a tech-wise. And I'm doing like this kind of recommendation system with clothes. And after the graduation presentation, a lot of my friends who were girls, they came to test the product. And I think that the realization moment for me to start this project is I see that there is a huge potential and there is a product need more than in a technical side, because the first prototype which I made, it was like C# desktop app in a computer, and there were no superficial things like AI and so on. It was basically based on algorithms. And then I see that this product is need from the community, and then decided to go deeper and explore it more.
Yeah. And then from there you went on to AUA? Was
yes.
That right? Yeah.
Not immediately. At that time, I also started to work in Tumo. And
here in Yerevan.
Yes. And I think it was a good base and starting point for me in a workspace, because what I love in Tumo is that you can explore so many things, you can learn so many things, and also there is a huge community there, starting from workshop leaders, from coaches, from students, because there were so many amazing students. And for example, one of our team members, Nazali, I know her from that, and we were exploring some AI lab in Tumo years. And first I learned about AI and the stuff because we have some French guys who came to Tumo. They were teaching some AI stuff in like to understand manuscripts, Armenian, which was so rare in that time. And
what year was this?
I think it was 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that there were CRISP and all AI stuff.
Compared to today, it's nothing though, yeah.
Yeah, but at that time in my community, like the top level of programmers were in backend part, like doing C++, Java, and nobody was like talking about AI and the functionality which it can bring. So the first point when I were introduced to AI, it was in that lab. And at that time, I also approached Nazali because she's very super talented, and I were coach and she were student, and we started to like realize what kind of projects we can build with AI and to develop this idea in that direction.
What made you want to enter the world of entrepreneurship? Like at this point, you had graduated, you're an engineer. You're in Armenia at the time. Even now, I mean, it was an engineer's market. People could get really good jobs as engineers. What makes you want to go and start a venture that is in some ways taking you to a slightly different role? I mean, as a founder, you're still an engineer, but you're now entering the world of business and like having to create a company and build teams and things of that nature. What was attractive about it?
I will not say that it was super attractive. At that time, I think the most important thing was idea and the thing how much possibility you can have and how much opportunity you have at that time, because I truly believe that in this time, a lot of founders have in Armenia a lot of opportunities, a lot of network and knowledge they can take. And it was also hard to convince parents that I will not go to work in Pixar and I will continue doing my company. And it was super hard point also to explain people around you that what you're doing. And at some point, you don't even understand where are you going. Yeah. But I decided to explore also in the business side, and that's why I decided to go to American University to do my management degree. But I will say that path of entrepreneur is a lot of self-learning and the research process. And for example, when we hire or we invite some team member, we also say that it's kind of, it's a self-learning. You need to do a good research because we're building something that maybe now exists in some companies, but at the next step, we want to have this unique tech and opportunity. So I think this was the main point of idea, and then it goes to understanding what it really is.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Wearify and the founding story. But tell us what it is you guys are doing and how you got started.
So Wearify is virtual fitting room. In 3D, we work with brands and we integrate some button of try-on, so their brands shoppers can go to product page, click that button and see how the clothes will fit them on their 3D avatars. So this is something I was dreaming and how we started, basically we started with another point of very common problem of shoppers, don't know what to wear, don't know what size to choose. And we started with styling app and more recommendation, size recommendation, mobile application. And at the time we had around 5,000 users, but also we started to develop this kind of 3D technology of virtual fitting room, and we were mostly starting to have some connections with brands, and we see their problems with the return rates. Also, there are some technologies which can boost their conversion rate. So we understand that there is a huge potential, and B2B market has the money.
Right.
Yes. So we decided to switch our direction and build this technology basically for B2B brands and online shops.
So the online shop comes to you, they purchase your solution, and that solution sits on their website. And when a shopper wants to go there, how do they engage with the virtual fitting room?
So for example, you saw some jacket, you go to the product page, there is some tiny button there, find your size or try on. So they click on that, they enter some parameters, for example, gender, height, weight, and so on. And that time we create some mannequin with already existing parameters, which they already inputted. But if they want to go deeper and to have the scan of their 3D avatar, we provide them QR code. So they can scan the QR, open the camera in the mobile, take this one video and create their 3D avatar. So also they can also see the clothes not only on mannequin but also on their 3D avatar.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a one-time thing. So if they do one time, we can also do the parameters change on the way. But
so, do you mean if I let's say there's store A, I go there and I do the scan. If store B also uses your solution, I can use my same scan on their platform, on their store.
Your own scan. So. Do you mean if you did the scan with our help?
Yes.
If yes, you can use. If no, there are a lot of I will say scanning apps this sphere is really growing fast, and we are comparing our technology with the scanner apps but there are a lot of different points, and how this scan, which we take, will be ready for fitting of clothes. And we cover all these steps around that. And that's why it will be hard to take another scan from another app.
Right. I meant from your app. So because if the solution lives on the store's website, but if another website is using you guys as well, the same scan I did for Story, I can use for Store B. Right? Very cool. How do you do is the scan done through, are you guys using the AR, or is it an AI generated thing, or how are you guys doing that?
So the base is photochronometry.
Okay.
What we do, so the person stands alone and we take one video around him. And after that, we get all these video and photos and we put each other around that. So technology works like this. I try to explain as simple as possible. But basically what we use, there are a lot of different different things how we can turn this photogrammetry to 3D model. The first thing which we use is mostly based on NVIDIA models. There is some NERF, if you're familiar with that. But in these 3 months, we also see some Gaussian splatting is trending and different technologies. So we try to test as much as possible. So we will be on the highest level of 3D scanning. And we understand that this scan, if it will be highly realistic, the people will use that.
Right.
But if not, there is some point of avatars, how it's familiar with you and how it's animated. And there is some point, for example, like Sophia, the robot, it's a humanoid, but it scares people because it's not exactly a human type.
Yeah.
And there is a really scary thing if you will not give the user the experience of it is you. They will scare and they will not use the avatars.
So the user is not very forgiving, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So it has to be either really accurate or...
Yeah, either not, either animated, because in this time there are some gamification apps like Ready Play Me. They also create avatars, but they are more like cartoonish. So there is another direction, but now I see how the potential will grow. For example, Meta is also developing this high realistic avatar technology because this interaction will be key. And when you will have your high realistic avatar, at that point you will interact in any space. So we are pointing on this direction, and we put the most research which we do on a tech side with this 3D technology.
Right. Which platform would you say right now has the most human realistic, photorealistic avatars? Because with the stuff I've seen from Meta, it's still very cartoony, right?
Not so. When I saw the demo of Meta, they did it 2 months ago of the avatars. I saw only the demo, not the only how it worked. It was super realistic. And I think they work on that, and if already released the demo, they will try to integrate it on some different platforms. There are some scanning apps like Polycom, Luma AI, which are scanning good, but they're not supposed to have these avatars for integrating in different technologies. So there are only, so you can scan this cup, this, this microphone, but not it's supposed to be for avatars. Basically, we want to take this technology and put avatars and also in the fashion sector.
Right.
Because in this part of creating avatars, to make this avatar fitting ready, it's a whole different aspect and whole different tech problem which we solve. And now we are also concentrating on the things which the world doesn't have. So if we see that there is for example, NERF technology in NVIDIA, we can use and build on them, and we can cover the middle part, which nobody is doing. So we are concentrating on this middle part to cover that, and then we will have resources to have these research people and also a lot of GPUs.
Right.
We will start also, doing on the part of which already bigger players are doing.
That's really interesting. One, I didn't realize that maybe in the near future, everybody having a realistic digital avatar will be something you use across multiple platforms for multiple different use cases. And secondly, as you were explaining it, I didn't appreciate well enough how intricate clothes fitting would be. So for example, I want you to expand on it, but I'm just thinking the way something sits on your shoulder, or the way it fits around your calf on your leg, something as detailed as that is something that you guys have to think about. Whereas for Meta, it's probably far less important because it's just an avatar in some VR space, right? No one's looking at the caps. Right?
I agree with the point that the realistic avatars will be everywhere, and even I will not put our research resources on that part because I know that bigger brands also working on that part. But the fitting process and how clothes will fit, it's really a thing that we are working on. And how it's done, we take 3D models from brands, and these 3D models bigger brands already develop 3D model of clothes on their pre-manufacturing process. And for example, we were speaking with Urban Outfitters. They were saying, okay, we have these pre-manufacturing 3D models. We need to a little bit polish them, and we will have this ready for the website to put on and try on. And for the technology fitting, what it does, so it takes all your parameters and the 3D avatar, and also there is some fitting process with the physics, with the material, how it's made, and we provide also like a fit map, so you can understand it fits you loosely in this part, it is tightly, so you can understand the size difference. And this is the thing which differentiate from AR part, because also we had another interesting call with VP engineering of Farfetch, and they also try to implement AR startup. And the insights which he gave us, it was that AR works good on accessories, like for example glasses, shoes, but it doesn't make any sense on clothes, because it's like some gamification thing. You understand, it's cool, it can boost a little bit conversion rate, but the real problem of return rate and understanding how the clothes will fit, it doesn't solve.
Right. It's just a standard how you look in this thing instead of the really minor details of it. Yeah.
So this clothes part is really missing, and a lot of brands also in-house starting to develop some kind of technology.
Right. That's really interesting. And when you guys are building the model on which the clothes will sit in the virtual fitting room, are there detail points on the body that you guys are even focusing on at that level? Like I said, shoulders or something?
So what we do first, we do like rigging part. We give the model some base, and we understand the points, like where is the shoulders, where is the, like, for example, legs, because it's another different problem.
Right.
And after that, when we have all these points on the avatars, we can exactly fit the clothes on model. And differentiation part is understanding of size of clothes, because we need different size of clothes from the brand part. So if it will not fit the man, we will show that, okay, this is not your size, and you will see that it doesn't fit, or it fits really tightly to you. So we make this physics part also with the materials and the size from the brands which we take clothes, and also make it super realistic for understanding how it will fit in avatar.
Right. How many stores are using it right now?
So we have now working with 2 brands. They're not using, we are on the integration part, and it took really time. And one thing that I didn't considering going to B2B market is that you will have a lot of time on explaining what you're doing, how this will be benefit, but another thing is integration part, and also like their tech part. So we are on the process of this integration, and hopefully we will have them onboarded on March, and then we will do our, I hope, pre-seed round. So we can scale on the part with brands, because there is a lot of sales going on there with the cycles, and also we need a more research part.
How many people are you guys now? Out of curiosity.
Now we are 7.
Okay.
We have 4 people on the tech side, and 3, including me, on 3D design, business part, marketing.
Everything else.
Everything else, yeah.
You said you guys hope to raise your pre-seed after you launch with the store in March. Have you guys received any funding or any like accelerator programs or anything yet?
So we have some prizes from different competitions. It helps a lot. And after that, we applied to grant from the High Tech Ministry, and we have this, but it covers only like technical costs. So we concentrated all this money to build the technology and to onboard first customers. And after that, for that, we will do our pre-seed round. It will mostly be concentrated on the team also, and also the research part, which we will have to scale up.
Okay. Let's go back to the avatars for a minute. in let's say 5 years, or just the next few years,
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard to put a number on it. Will, as things like VR and stuff become more, much more of an actual thing in people's lives than it is today, because I think most people today still haven't really meaningfully engaged with VR. Like I've tried it a few times,
It
but I
will
haven't
take
used
time,
it.
I think. Yeah.
I haven't used it for anything like seriously. Do you think people will have a singular 3D model of themselves that they use across many different platforms? Like I would upload my 3D model of myself, my avatar, as you put it, into your platform, into Meta's platform, into Apple's platform, and use that in the digital world?
I think yes, in 5 years it will be. But in the middle part, it will be. And also I think that Meta is wants to do that. So they want to create also the avatar part, and they will try to buy different companies,
Right.
I think, and try to integrate, for example, this fitting process in fashion. They will do on some conferences part in different part. So it's the matter of time how it will grow. But at the time, we see that there are a lot of different companies trying to develop these avatars and also use on Metaverse, on Omniverse, and different platforms. But Meta, I think their goal is to go in this direction, and they will try to buy different small startups or companies for the future to integrate in the whole platform.
Right. Interesting. I never thought about that. That like one of your sort of digital identifiers would be a 3D avatar that you use in multiple places in the multiverse or whatever it's called these days. The name keeps changing. Okay, it's super interesting. Tell us about the business value of this. You mentioned things like helping conversion, lessening returns, and things of that nature. How do you see this driving value for businesses, for online stores?
Yeah, as a starting point, so we start with small and medium brands, and their business value is more boosting conversion rates. And we see that there is some interaction part, and some of them said like, okay, one of my competitors already have this 3D virtual fitting room, so I want to integrate it. Also, there is some part of competition with each other, and we see this is helping a lot. So we try to, at the early stage, we try to sell them a thing which worked with another brand, because we don't have any data to show them, okay, so we did with this brand and it boosted this conversion rate. We show another data from another brand. But for the bigger picture, we want to work with bigger brands, and for them is reducing the return rates. And this is the effect which is really, I can say some numbers. For example, if the brand is doing like 10 million ARR, they lose on the return rates like 1 million.
Wow, 10%.
Yeah, 10%. And it's a huge number. And also we had a chance to speak with a huge manufacturer, and they were interested on our size recommendation part of technology. And they were like giving us numbers, how this behavior, like what do shoppers in online shopping, they order clothes on all different sizes, take the one which fits them, and then return the others. And this is behavior which is very popular in US, in Russia, and in all countries when like brands offer free shipping. And they also tell us number how it eat into profitability of product. So this is the thing bigger brands are working on, how to solve this. And for exit strategy, we are not aiming to go to IPO or another thing. We see that a lot of fashion tech startups exit with selling the company or technology to bigger brands. So we hope to test this model and technology with small and medium parts, and after that we can go and sell it to
like a Nike or something. Yeah. Okay. Actually, when you're saying on the returns part, like even in the Armenian context, I think with wild berries, for example, you don't even pay for it until it gets here. You try it, and then you try it at their store. if you don't like it, you still don't pay for it. They just take it back. So it
Yeah.
really disincentivizes the customer to even care about the return part, right? Because you're almost not even returning it. You haven't bought it yet until you
Yeah.
decide you like it. So I imagine it's a huge sticking point for companies.
I think this was the point that online brands also convinced people to buy things, because I remember the La Moda when they came to Russian market first, so nobody were buying clothes online.
Yeah.
And they entered the market only with not only with that, but the main point was, we can deliver you free, and if you don't like, you can return.
Yeah.
And then they started to develop this online clothes buyers
That's
behavior.
a really interesting perspective. So that 10% is almost like a customer acquisition cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you guys will hopefully eliminate that.
Yeah, and they
10%.
try to have this little fix, quick fix.
Yeah.
And then understand that it brings a lot of problem, because it doesn't solve the main problem of understanding how clothes will fit, what the size will be.
Yeah. I remember maybe 6 or 7 years ago in Canada, our post offices started having changing rooms, because a lot of people would want to order clothes online. They want to try it right there, and then just instead of taking it home and coming back to return it, they want to just return it right there in the post office. So it's almost like an interesting cultural moment where you at that point that the online shopping was really adapted at that point.
Yeah, and also US is ahead on this part, because they developed this free return thing a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
But also they faced the problem a lot of years ago. So they are also trying to solve the problem. And we see with the COVID, there is a huge behavioral change on how people purchase clothes and things. And also there are a lot of brands who closed their physical stores after this. So
yeah. I think COVID was probably the first time I ordered clothes online. And it's remained a habit since then. So it was definitely a permanent change. Yeah.
It's creating a good opportunity also. If they work good with the online shopper, they will attract with different kind of clothes, which will you will naturally go to buy in the store. So it's also have a huge opportunity of selling people a lot of items.
Let's go back to Vanadzor for a minute. So you grew up in Vanadzor. I think you were at PhysMath, and that sparked a lot of your interest in STEM and tech. When you see all these initiatives and efforts to help boost tech outside of Yerevan in the regions of Armenia, how do you see these efforts? Do you think the community is focusing on the right areas, or is there a perspective maybe that's lacking that we should focus more on?
I will definitely say we need to focus more on, because I see there is for example, in the PhysMath school when I was learning, there were a lot of talented students, and they were like with the bright eyes, deep with the mathematics and the physics, and all of us came to Yerevan, maybe in different countries, and nobody stays on Vanadzor to develop this kind of some technologies.
Right.
And I think this is a problem which we see, which I definitely see. And I have little brother, and he's, I think, he started there some RMAT labs. There were some VTC, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but I think that, for example, like Tumo, they do a lot of effort. And in my opinion, if there will be a possibility, I would love to see them in a lot of places, because they give a good fundamental knowledge of starting point students, so they can understand what is programming, what is 3D modeling, what is animation, and so on. And they can also start to self-learning process. And in these times, we need only these kind of platforms, so we can give the students how this world is built up. And after that, we can give opportunity to them to self-learn and to develop by themselves. And what we can do better, maybe we can open some branches of our bigger companies in Gyumri. I know that some founders from Gyumri also open some branches there. I know Instigate Mobile now, which called Zealous, is also have some branches there. But the potential of the network of the thing which works in Yerevan, there is a huge need to go and to bring this to regions. And also I know that people from like bigger companies from Crisp and Pixar, they would love to go and to work from Vanadzor or from Dilijan. So it will be more a quiet environment. And
So I guess there's two parts, right? There's giving young people in the regions an opportunity to learn about tech and get into the tech field. But after that stage, if there aren't opportunities to stay, that's basically just a funnel to Yerevan, right?
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily the desired outcome. People should be free to go wherever they want, of course, but like if you want to have a lasting impact in those communities, you want the economies of those cities to develop and companies to go there and things like that. Do you think that's something that'll just be a natural thing that comes as there's more talent there? Or like, for example, Instigate's example is really interesting because Instigate didn't wait to have a QA team in Gorgis. They went and built the QA team, right? Which is so admirable. And it's also so difficult. And it's not just difficult to do, it's also difficult to justify for a business, right? You have to tell your stakeholders that, hey, I'm going to go somewhere where there's no talent. I'm going to spend a lot of money on training these people. It's probably going to be like not the best quality for a while, but in 6-7 years, we're going to do QA for Disney from this small town in Southern Armenia. It's an amazing story. But we, outside of Instigate, which is, I think is almost like philosophy driven, like driven by like their principle of wanting to do it. We haven't really seen other companies doing it. Do you think there's something that needs to be done to incentivize more companies to move and do that? Or do you think it's just something that will be fixed once you break some sort of talent barrier? Like once you have this many number of engineers graduating every year or something, then companies will just naturally want to go?
I think at first we need to push these kind of companies to go there because it's not a matter of talents. For example, I graduated from them and came to Yerevan, and this talent is already in Yerevan and developing here something. But if there will be possibility of, for example, there are 3 main schools on this Photon, this Vanadzor PhysMath school, and also in Yerevan is Shahinian school, which have talent base and they teach students who go to Olympiads, for example. And it's a huge point of starting point of talents to understand how there is a potential. But you need to take this student and for example, teach them some engineering stuff. Some you don't need to go only to Armat labs, but also have some company which you can go to have some internship. But if you don't have this opportunity in Vanadzor, you will come to Yerevan and try to get internships in Yerevan. So at first, I think we need to push these kind of companies to open some branches. If it will be, maybe it will not be super economically wise on their perspective, but in other places we can do. And I see that it worked a long year ago. For example, my parents were studying in Yerevan. They have both a technical background and they go back to Vanadzor. And when I was much older, I were asking like my parents why you came to Vanadzor, because when you get older, you also see the difference. But at that time, there were not so much difference there. And they have job there. They have a lot of engineering going on Vanadzor. So they see the potential of quite and natural.
I think that's the like saving grace, because Yerevan, I like to think of Yerevan as a diaspora of other cities, right? Like it's Yerevan is nothing but just like a group of people from Vanadzor, Gyumri, Gori, Skapan, and Dilijan.
Our team is also like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We have only 2 people from Yerevan, another
exactly.
people,
There you go. So like once you guys become more successful, other companies that are founded by people who weren't born in Yerevan, they become successful. There's a natural desire amongst those people to want to do something for where they grew up, right? And
even at this point, for example, if I see that there is a talented people from Vanadzor, and I see, for example, one of our team members is from Instigate Mobile from Vanadzor, and we see that, okay, we can bring this person in our team, and we mostly work on remote basis, and we can go there, they come here, so we can develop something there. Yeah. We are pushing as much as possible.
That's awesome. Yeah, I look forward to seeing the Wearify Vanadzor office open one day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Last question, Karine. Where do you hope to see Wearify in 5 years?
I will say that in 5 years, as I mentioned, we want to have some exit. But also at that time, we want to develop a technology which will be a thing that bigger brand will say, okay, we don't have time to develop this, and we will buy only this company and integrate it. And at the time, we want to test the product to see as much as small and medium brands to benefiting with our product, and after that to sell it, because this is the thing which medium and small brands are lacking, like in-house technical and financial resources. So we will start with them, but also build something huge for brands who will need it in a tech-wise and shopper-wise.
Okay. I hope in 5 years we'll do another podcast and we'll celebrate that exit.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for coming on today, Karine. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Nice.